You wake up and the first thought isn't gratitude, it's dread. Not because your life is objectively terrible. You have things others would call blessings, a job, a roof, people who would miss you if you disappeared. But something is wrong. You scroll through your phone before your feet touch the floor. You say yes to things you don't want to do. You watch yourself make the same decisions you promised you'd stop making, and you do it again tomorrow. This isn't depression, this is recognition. Your brain has finally noticed the gap between who you are and who you were supposed to become. Every morning that gap widens. Every compromise, every abandoned promise, every moment you chose comfort over character, you dug the trench deeper. You don't hate your circumstances. You hate the person who created them. You have tried to fix this before. You made resolutions. You bought the journal, downloaded the app, told yourself this time would be different. It wasn't. By February, you were back. Same patterns, same excuses, same hollow feeling when you look in the mirror. Here's what you believed: that hating your life meant you needed a new job, a new city, a new relationship. That the problem was external. It isn't. The problem is that you've been building a person you don't respect. Brick by brick, choice by choice, you constructed someone who breaks promises to themselves. Someone who knows what they should do and does the opposite. Someone who has reasons instead of results. That person is a stranger wearing your name. And every day you continue as them, the hatred deepens. The Zen monks in the 13th century understood something your therapist won't tell you. They didn't practice meditation to feel better. They practiced to become unrecognizable to their former selves. Complete transformation, not improvement, not growth. Annihilation of the old self. They called it dying the great death before you die. The deliberate destruction of who you were so that who you must become has space to exist. You cannot improve your way out of self-hatred. You can only replace the self you hate. This is the first principle. Identity change is not addition, it is substitution. You don't add discipline to a person who lacks it. You become a different person, one for whom discipline is automatic. You don't add courage to someone who is afraid. You kill the afraid person and inhabit someone else entirely. Your brain doesn't understand improvement. It understands categories. Right now, you are categorized as the person who quits, the person who starts strong and fades by week 3, the person who has ideas but not execution. That category has years of evidence supporting it. Every time you failed before, you added proof. Your basal ganglia, the ancient part of your brain responsible for automatic behavior, has logged every broken promise. It knows who you are. It has the data. When you try to improve, you're asking your brain to ignore years of evidence and believe a new story with zero supporting proof. It won't. This is why willpower fails. This is why motivation dies. This is why you've started over 17 times and ended up right here, reading this, hoping for something different. You were trying to convince your brain you were someone else while continuing to behave as yourself. The brain doesn't listen to what you say, it watches what you do. For 66 days. That's the neurological threshold. Not 21 days, that's a myth sold to people who need easy answers. 66 days is the average time required for a new behavior to shift from prefrontal cortex effort to basal ganglia automation. 66 days of unbroken evidence. Not perfect days, unbroken days. The difference is critical. Perfect means you did it flawlessly. Unbroken means you didn't stop. You can perform poorly, you can stumble, you can execute at 60%, but you cannot stop. The moment you stop, the counter resets. Your brain interprets stopping as category confirmation. See? Still the person who quits. This is the second principle. Proof is built through unbroken repetition, not perfect performance. You have been aiming for perfection, and that's why you keep failing. Perfection requires conditions. The right mood, the right energy, the right circumstances. Unbroken requires only continuation. When the Benedictine monks wake at 3:30 a.m. for vigils, they don't wake up motivated. They wake up because the bell rings. The bell has rung at 3:30 a.m. since the year 1200. Not when they feel like it. Not when it's convenient. When the bell rings, Their identity isn't someone who loves waking early. Their identity is someone who wakes when the bell rings. The love is irrelevant. The waking is permanent. You keep waiting to feel like the person you want to become. You wait for motivation, for clarity, for the perfect moment when everything aligns and change feels natural. That moment doesn't exist. You will never feel like someone you aren't yet. Feelings follow behavior, not the other way around. You don't feel like a runner, then run. You run, unbroken, until your brain recategorizes you as a runner. Then the feeling arrives. But you've been doing it backwards. You wait for the feeling never comes. You interpret that as evidence that you're not that person. You stop. The cycle repeats. This is the third principle. Act as the person first. Become them second. When you wake up tomorrow, you will not feel like the disciplined version of yourself. You will feel like the same person you were yesterday. That feeling is accurate. You are still that person. But if you act as the disciplined person would act, if you execute their behavior without requiring their feelings, you begin building evidence. 1 day of evidence means nothing. 66 days of evidence means everything. Here's what happens at day 66. Your brain stops categorizing the behavior as effortful. The prefrontal cortex, which has been burning energy to force the action, hands the behavior to the basal ganglia. It becomes automatic. You are no longer forcing yourself to act like someone else. You are someone else. The old you, the one you hated, no longer exists in your brain's filing system. There's insufficient recent evidence. The category has been overwritten. This is not metaphor. This is neurology. But you won't make it to day 66 if you leave the behavior negotiable. Every morning you wake up and decide whether today is the day you act. You're creating a decision point. Decision points kill automaticity. This is the fourth principle. Eliminate the decision. The monks don't decide whether to wake for vigils. The bell decides. They built a system where the choice was removed. You need the same architecture. If you're trying to become someone who writes every day, you don't wake up and decide if today feels like a writing day. You sit down at 5 a.m., same chair, same desk, same ritual, and you write, not when inspired, at 5 a.m. The time decides, not you. If you're trying to become someone who doesn't break promises to themselves, you don't leave room for exceptions. Unless I'm tired is an exception. Unless I'm traveling is an exception. Unless it's a holiday is an exception. Exceptions are proof you're still negotiable. Negotiable people break. You have broken before because you were negotiable. You told yourself you'd do the thing unless circumstances made it hard. Then circumstances made it hard. You negotiated, you stopped, your brain logged it as more evidence of who you really are. The cycle continued. The person you're trying to become has no exceptions. Not because they're superhuman, but because they removed the option to negotiate. They built their life so that the behavior happens regardless of how they feel, regardless of conditions, regardless of difficulty. They made it non-negotiable, and then they became non-negotiable. This is the fifth principle. Design your environment to make the old self impossible. You cannot become disciplined in an environment built for your undisciplined self. The room where you scroll for 3 hours, the route home that passes the drive-thru, the people who expect the old version of you, these are all infrastructure supporting the person you hate. That infrastructure must be destroyed. When someone decides to become sober, they don't keep the bottles in the cabinet and rely on willpower. They remove the bottles. They change the route home. They avoid the bar where everyone knows their order. They make the old behavior structurally impossible. You need the same ruthlessness. If you're becoming someone who doesn't waste time on their phone, the phone doesn't sleep in your bedroom. If you're becoming someone who exercises before work, your workout clothes are laid out the night before. If you're becoming someone who doesn't eat garbage, the garbage isn't in your house. You are designing for inevitability. The old you had to resist temptation. The new you never encounters it. Resistance is finite. Elimination is permanent. Your friends will call this extreme. They'll say you need balance, flexibility, room to be human. Good. When your discipline makes others uncomfortable, you are operating at the correct level. Their discomfort is proof that you've moved into territory they're unwilling to enter. Let them stay there. You've lived in their territory before. It's the territory of "I'll start Monday and just this once, and I deserve a break." It's the territory where good intentions go to die and self-hatred grows. You're leaving. This is the sixth principle. The opinions of the unchanged are irrelevant. People who haven't transformed themselves will give you advice on transformation. People who break promises to themselves will tell you that your standards are too high. People who hate who they've become will suggest you're being too hard on yourself. Their input is worthless, not because they're bad people, but because they're giving advice from inside the prison you're escaping. They don't want you to be extreme because your extremity makes their moderation look like what it is: failure. You will lose some of these people, not because you push them away, but because the new version of you is unrecognizable to them. They related to your weakness, your compromises, your shared excuses. When those disappear, the relationship has no foundation. This is not a loss. This is proof of distance traveled. The person you are becoming doesn't need permission from the person you were. They don't need approval from people who are exactly where you used to be. They need only continuation. 66 days becomes 6 months. 6 months becomes a year. At some point, you'll realize you haven't thought about the old version of yourself in weeks. They're gone. Not hiding, not dormant, not waiting to return. Gone. Overwritten by years of evidence that you are someone else now. Someone who does what they say. Someone who keeps promises to themselves. Someone who built a life instead of inheriting one. Someone you don't hate when you look in the mirror. This is the seventh principle. The transformation is permanent only if the behavior is permanent. You cannot become someone new for 90 days and then return to old patterns. The brain doesn't work that way. If you prove that the new identity was temporary, your brain recategorizes you as the temporary person, the person who tries and stops. You've been that person before. You're not going back. The behavior that created the new you must continue forever, not as punishment, but as maintenance. The monk doesn't stop waking at 3:30 a.m. after 10 years. The bell still rings. The behavior is no longer hard. It's just who they are. That's where you're going. To the place where the discipline isn't effortful, where the promises aren't negotiable, where the person you see in the mirror is the person you designed. You won't hate that person. You'll barely recognize the one you left behind. Others will call you obsessive, rigid, extreme. They'll ask why you can't just relax, just be normal, just enjoy life. Let them. Their version of enjoying life led you to hate who you'd become. Their normal is the reason you're here, reading this, desperate for something different. You tried their way. It failed. Now you're trying the way that works, the way that's uncomfortable, uncompromising, and absolute, the way that destroys the old self completely and builds someone new from the ground up, the way that requires you to act today as the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. You know what that person does. You've known for years. The only question left is whether you'll do it. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when you feel ready. Now, decide which version of yourself dies today and which one begins.